uh, on our user group session. So it's been a while. Actually, we did a session, and so today we are going to have a great session about masterclass on ODC. So far we have been doing a lot of separate topics, individual topics, and some sort of learning together. But not on a masterclass level. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us, all of us, to learn and get started with ODC, because nowadays it's all about ODC, and that's the talk of the town. And there are a lot of new features coming. OutSystems is releasing in ODC, and there are a lot of amazing applications and amazing AI features are being released, and it's very exciting to get our hands on into those kind of tools and features. So to get started with, we'll have our first masterclass sessions, so which will help us to understand the basic concepts and get more into deeper into the topic later in the upcoming sessions. So we have Sri Lakshmi from Bangalore, and she's an organizer of the Bangalore user group, and she works as an assistant manager in the KPMG. So I'll leave it to her. So the agenda is basically the masterclass sessions, and then there'll be a quiz, but that is nothing more much. But let's get into the session. So I'll leave it to Sri Lakshmi to take over.
Yeah, thank you, Kavin. So, good evening, all. Once again, welcome to this first session of the masterclass on ODC. And to add to what Kavin has said, so since we have the quiz at the end, and since this is a masterclass event, so there will be 10 lucky winners, and we have decided to give out the specialization voucher for the 10 winners at the end of the last session of the masterclass. And to be eligible, make sure you are attending all the sessions of masterclass, and you get into the top in all the sessions. So yeah, with that, let's quickly start. I'll share my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So, as already Kavin gave a quick intro about me, so I am Sri Lakshmi, working as an assistant manager in KPMG India. I'm also an organizer for Bangalore OutSystems user group. So, if you need any technical assistance or any queries with this particular session, you can always reach out to me on this mail. And also, if you want to connect with me to get a quick response, then you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah, so with that, okay, so this template I got from user group shared file. So where Will Smith is welcoming us to the session. So yeah, so now since we already have the OutSystems version, like we had O10 and we have come up with O11, and in O11 again we had traditional, reactive, mobile, everything, and we didn't have any issue with the existing one. But why we are going for OD? So what is so special about it when we compare to O11? We will get to know in the future slides. So as you all know, we had this old set of phone where we had this keypad, and the battery used to stay for a week, at least for 5 days, and if even if you throw when you're angry, right, it will not break. And it is very simple. It is suitable for all the age groups. So there is no user guide kind of a thing is required for this particular phone, where everything is simple for making a call or an SMS or playing a game. So everything was simple and everything was working smooth. But then why did we migrate for smartphone? So nowadays no one is preferring the keypad phone and they're going for the smartphone. Why? Because they have got a new features, even though it has the limitations with the battery. battery which will last only for a couple of one, and also if you just throw it, it'll break down, and it has much more limitations, right? So in short, sometimes in order to bring the new changes, the effective changes, we may have to change the tech stack completely. So that is the reason we have got into ODC. So what is so special about ODC, and what is the difference between O11 and ODC? So basically, O11 is a cloud ready platform wherein the ODC is cloud native. So what does it mean by cloud native? So we develop in cloud, and the deployment will be in cloud, and runtime will be in cloud. And the most useful thing about ODC is it has an auto scalability. What is auto scalability? You will have the question, right? So even the O11 is also scalable. So it is easily scalable, highly scalable, but it is not automatically scalable. So whenever, assume you have an application so which is to target only 200 end users or 300 end users, so all of a sudden your application gets popular and many of the users will start using your application. So in that time, the load on the application will get increased, right? So in such cases, so if you have your application on O11 or any of the traditional coding, so what it will take an extra effort to make it scalable for the target audiences. So whenever the number of users increases, so effort also increases in order to make your application stable and scalable for the end users. But in ODC, you don't need that extra effort. It has an inbuilt feature that will be helping the application to get auto scaled. So that is the most important point in ODC. Okay, but what is ODC, right? So as I already said, it is a cloud native platform, and we hear a lot of fancy terms like Kubernetes, containers, packages, and as I told, native cloud and microservices. So what is a container, right? And you will publish it. So once you publish the application, so your application will get encapsulated into a container. And you have one more product or outcome in ODC called library. So whenever you publish the library, so it will get encapsulated into a package. Okay, and application and libraries, only these two are the outcomes you can create out of ODC, and these containers will be deployed to each of the stages. And when we see the native cloud services, so as I said, it is a cloud native platform, and it supports, for now it supports only the AWS cloud services, but in future the vision is to make it cloud agnostic. So what does it mean by cloud agnostic is that now it has a limitation where it is limited only to the AWS services, right? So we will make sure that it supports the other cloud services also, like we have the Google Cloud, Azure Cloud. So in future, that version will. And what is a microservices architecture? So when we say about microservices, the first point which comes into our mind is the event-driven architecture. So isn't it possible to have an event-driven architecture in O11? We can have it, but it is again an extra effort. So you have to do it manually. But in ODC, it is already inbuilt. It is having the event-driven architecture. So what does it mean by event-driven architecture, right? So the main part of event-driven architecture is a loose coupling. So loose coupling between the applications. So how do we achieve the loose coupling? So as I hope our audience here is already having the basic idea of OutSystems. So wherein, I mean, OutSystems 11. So in OutSystems 11, we have this service actions, server actions. So what is the difference? Main difference is server action will have the strong dependency, and when it comes to the service action, it is always the weak references. So with the weak reference, we will call it as loosely coupled, and when it has the strong dependencies, we will call it as strong sorry tightly coupled. So in ODC, since it is mostly on the service actions, so we have this event driven architecture inbuilt and it supports the microservices architecture. Okay, and what are the benefits we have out of ODC? So we already talked about the auto scaling and auto scaling up and down. So globally distributed apps, meaning since it is a cloud native platform, it is accessible from anywhere. So it is not limited to a particular data center, but it is accessible through from anywhere from the world. Like it is global, we can call it in short. And the other three benefits that we have, it is more similar to O11 which we have. So it is more efficient with the development and with the delivery, and even the code reusability. So it is all similar to the OutSystems 11 we have. And okay, so in ODC, uh, as I already mentioned, we will be having the application and library, and the dependency between application and library is a strong dependency always. And like how we have in O11 the application and then modules libraries, we don't have the module concept in ODC. So we have only the application and library. Okay. Okay, so apart from which, so if you have your application developed on O11 or the traditional code, so you are trying to integrate your application with an external system or any of the other system with any kind of integration, you would need all these in picture, like the cloud architect you need, and the database security, so application CI/CD engineer and network architect. So all of these are required when you have the O11 and traditional coding application when you are trying to make an integration. But what is special in ODC? So all these are inbuilt in ODC. Building an application and which needs an integration to be done, you do not have to worry about the network architecture or the security, database, platform, CI/CD, application architecture, everything. So this is all inbuilt in ODC. Ideally, you will start from step 7. So you don't need, you are eliminating all the 6 steps and you will be starting from the 7th step. Okay, so what is the benefit out of it? So in order, I mean, if in case you are eliminating all the steps, the cost savings that you do for your organization will be almost close to 2 million euros, and that is estimated for 12 months. So anyhow, ODC has its own license cost, but it is worth when you have an enterprise application. I mean, when you have a requirement to build an enterprise application. Okay, and what are the basic concepts that we need to know in ODC? So
Lakshmi, sorry.
yeah.
Before we jump into the basic concept, so far whatever you have covered, so let's ask for. I mean, how we go about the questions. So ask for the questions. If there is any
uh, but Kavin, Q&A we will keep it at the end.
at the last, right?
So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
participants can put their questions in the Q&A. You can start the Q&A section so
Okay.
that they'll be able to put in their questions there.
All right. All right. Just double confirming. Yeah. Thanks. Please
Yeah,
carry.
yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to the basic concepts, we will see what and all the ODC is having currently. Okay, so what are all the development blocks it has, and before we begin with that, so the drawback of ODC for now, what is that is like how we have in our systems lab in the personal environment where we will get the training and we will practice our training exercises. So all those we can do in terms of learning, but when it comes to ODC, we don't have that part yet, the personal environment part. So that is the only drawback that we could see. So as I already mentioned, it has the application and library. So the dependency between application and library is a tightly coupled one, and what an application will have inside it. So first of all, it will be having the user interfaces, and it has the integrations, the REST API, microservices, and when it comes to the asynchronous process, it will be having the events. Okay, and here I would like to mention the terminologies that we use in ODC, which is different from O11, right? So we will call environments in O11, but in ODC we will call them as organization. And how we have the development, prod, so all this we will call it as stages in ODC. Okay, and inside application, what we can reuse and what we cannot reuse, this would also be a major difference when you compare ODC with O11. So we can reuse the entities, static entities, service action, and screen, but the elements that you see on the right side, you cannot reuse. That means you cannot take a dependency of these in other applications. Okay, and when it comes to the libraries, it will be having the reusable UI, themes, integration wrappers, and the logic utilities. And when you publish an application, it will encapsulate into a container, but when you publish a library, it will encapsulate into a package. And the reusability in the libraries is on the left side. So you can reuse the static entities, client action, server action, blocks, themes, script, structure, image, everything. But what you can't reuse on the right side. Okay, and we will see when we jump into the demo, we will see why we cannot reuse those components from libraries and also from the applications what we saw. Okay, so we see the application and libraries separately. How do we combine them with the deployment, right? So whenever you we have already talked about the one click publish, we have the container and the package ready. So once you are doing the deployment, what will happen? That means whenever you consume your library inside your application, what will happen in the background is the package will also get encapsulated into the container. So it will make a single container, and that container will be pushed from stage to stage, from development to quality, quality to production. So without getting delayed, let's jump into the demo now. Okay, so let's start with the portal. So now it has only two consoles. So one is the ODC portal, and the IDE we will call it as ODC Studio. Okay, so ODC portal is an unified portal to manage the whole ODC organization, I would say. So in O11, you will be having different consoles, right? For service center, lifetime, and even for user management, you will be using the users app, and you have the AI Mentor Studio. So you have the Forge, everything is separate in O11. But in ODC, you will have everything in a single portal. So you will be able to view the apps, and you can see the error logs, trace, and in lifetime you will see the app health, right? So that you can see in the ODC portal itself. Sorry. And you can do the deployments here, and you can manage your users. Give me a second, please. Yeah. So in the overview, you will see all the apps inside your environment. That means your organization. Okay. So since this is a training environment that I have, I don't have many applications, so I have only two OutSystems provides. Okay, so basically in the overview, you will see all the applications and when is the last update done, and whether they are in production or not. Okay, and in the deployment again, I haven't done any deployment yet, but what you will see over here is you will whenever you try to deploy, right? So you will be asked to select the application, and you will see the stages over here. So you just have to choose an asset to deploy, and based on your publishers you will be having the revisions. So how we have the versions in OutSystems 11, we have the revisions in ODC. So you will have to select the revision, and then it will analyze the impact by itself, and then the application will be deployed to the next stage. And here you will see the assets and in which stage it is, and the status, when was it deployed. So all such information you will get in here. And in the app health, so how we have the uh, analytics part of it, like which screen is taking more time and what are the errors we have, like how you see in the, so that is similar to the app health that we have in ODC. And in the logs, and we have two different tabs over here. If you see, we have the logs and traces. Okay, so what is the difference between logs and traces is that, so whenever you, I mean, for example, you are trying to access an application, so you don't have the valid permissions. So what it will do, it will throw an error, so invalid username and password. So only that error message what you will see on the UI will be logged over here. The traces will give you the error details of it, so what happened and what you have to do to rectify it. So those information you can see in the logs and traces. Okay, so app security is something which is I mean, which is not required for this session, but still you will see the security related issues for an application. So if you have any security related issues with any of your application, you will see it in this one. And external logic and connections, it is not to the integration with the external systems like external DBs if you have. And in O11 how we have the integration studio where you will have the extension. So all those logics will sit in external logic and connections. So when we come to the user app users, so it is very similar to the user app that we have in O11. So here you will see all the end users. So we have two types of users, as you know, like we have end users and the IT users. So end users are the application users, and IT users are the users that, I mean, we developers or the infra teams, they have to have an access to check the app health, app security. So all those administrative roles, I would say. So that is IT users, and we have the end users, which are who are using the applications. So as you can see, I have mine over here, and let's see what access I have. So you can see the organization access. This is nothing but the IT user access. And I have the admin for this training environment that I have. And on the end user, I don't have access to any of my application. Okay. And this we discussed. And identity providers is, for now we will be having only the built-in provider, but if your requirement is to integrate with any of the Azure directory or SSO, so all those external identity providers, if you are using those, can be added over here. Okay. And what else we have, we have the emails. So how we have the email setting in service center in O11, right? So similarly, we have the email setting in here also. And domains, private gateways, or all the complex topics that you will learn in the future session, like in mostly in session 2 or session 3 you will learn about it. And Forge is very common that we have with O11 and ODC. So now you will see the Forge over here. We have close to 300 plus Forge here for now in ODC. Okay. And what else I have missed? I guess we have covered. So let's see any of the application inside which what we have. Okay. Okay. So whenever you open an application in the ODC portal, so what you can see, you will see an option to open in the ODC Studio. And if the application is available in two or more environments, like if you have deployed to quality or production, then you will be able to see those options over here. So you now, for now, the directory is only in development, so this is disabled. But it is, if it is in QA and also in prod, then you will be able to select and do the configuration for that particular stage. And view app will take you to the application in browser. Okay. And below you have the revision. So you have the last published date and last published username, and below which we have the configuration, consumers, and producers. So under configuration, we have settings. Settings is same as the site property that we have in O11. So this site property, if I open, okay, so we have the same like description and the value. So here we, if you see, we have two different types. This is nothing but the library value that we define, and custom value is nothing but the effective value that we have. So whatever, if we select custom and we will put some value over here, that will be effective on the runtime. Okay. And what else we have, we have the timers. So if you want to run server action on a schedule basis, run a logic on a schedule wise, like monthly ones or weekly ones, daily ones, so all those scheduled jobs will be run through the timer. Okay. And email specific to application you can configure over here. And consumers, the applications which are consuming this application, that means the vacation is taking a dependency from the directory, so that is why it is a consumer. And producers are nothing but the directory is consuming the elements of these many applications, so these many are the producers for directory applications. Okay. So that is all we have for the application wise. And I guess, yeah, we have covered everything on the ODC portal. Let's see on the ODC Studio we have. Okay. So ODC video looks like this, and you will be having an option to create an application or a library. As I told, if you create an app, you will be asked to select which type of application is this, a web app, tablet, or a phone. So it is very similar to how you create the application in O11. Okay. And create app. So the only difference what you can see is in O11, whenever you create an application, right? So you will be landed into a window where you will see the module creation. So you'll be having the application name, and then below which you will be asked to create the modules. So since we don't have the module concept in ODC, we will once you create the application, we will land directly inside the application. We don't have the module creation screen over here. Okay. So yeah, so similar to O11, what we have is the interface, logic, and data. Only different tab that you see is in events. So inside events, let's go in detail like what we have inside each of this tab. Okay. So here we had processes in O11. So in ODC we will call it as events, and these two both are asynchronous. So timers are, as I have already mentioned, it is a scheduled job to execute the service. And events is something similar to process, but exactly same as process. But whenever you want to execute a server action based on an event, like whenever an employee is added or any create or update on a table, so those kind of, on those events, if you want to perform any of the logic, then that can be executed inside events, and both of them are asynchronous. And in interface, we will go bottom to top. So we have the scripts, where if you want to have a external script, like external JavaScript. Like it is very similar to O11, and in themes we have and images, and even in UI flow you will be having the screens. Okay, screens and blocks. Okay, and exceptions, it is again it is the same as O11, like all exceptions. And if you want to use the user defined one, you can define it, you can create it. And inside application itself we will be having the roles. So this demo, so that's why it has already taken in an inbuilt role as demo. So let me open the already created application, just to get an understanding, a clear picture. Okay. Okay, so we have the, yeah, roles over here. So this is the built-in one. Like you can still change the name, and you can delete, and you can create a new role if you want. So this is all you know already. And in the integration, for now we have the REST inbuilt, but here you can include the SOAP, SAP. It doesn't mean that we cannot integrate SOAP, SAP, or any other Salesforce. All those can be included. So for now we have REST in ODC. Okay, and when we come to service action, we will be, I mean, we will be having a logic which is exposed. So if you see, the service actions are public by default, and you cannot change it to no. You cannot set no to public property of the service action. So, and the service action will be having the weak references always. And if you see the server action, so it is opposite to the service action. So the public property is no, you cannot set it to yes. Now you can relate to what we have seen in here. So in application we cannot reuse a server action. Why? Because we cannot make it public. So if we cannot make it public, we cannot take a dependency on the other application. So why we cannot take or why we cannot set the public property yes, right? So as I have already mentioned, the ODC is following the microservices architecture. So wherein we should always have the loose coupling. So server action will always dependency, and it will result in the tightly coupled references. So if we have to restrict to follow the microservices architecture, then we should have to go for service actions only, not server actions. Okay, and similar to O11, we have the client actions also. Okay, so even client actions cannot be made public. Okay, and on the data tab, we have the resources, and this you already know. And settings is we have already seen in ODC portal. Like the settings is nothing but the side property that we have in O11. And we have the client variables here, and structures. Again, structures you cannot make it public. So whenever you create a structure, you cannot make it public. It is again no. Okay, and when it comes to entity, you can see here we can set the entity public, yes, but whenever we take a dependency for the entities,
नहीं
right?
हो रहा है पता
So
नहीं
you
नहीं मेरा ही होगा 98285 लेकिन आ नहीं रहा है इसमें पता नहीं क्यों
uh, uh,
Just give me a second. I'll mute the person.
yeah, sure. Okay, so meanwhile, let's continue. So on the entities, whenever we set it to public and we take a dependency in other applications, so it is exposed read only. So when it is exposed read only, we cannot access the actions of an entity. So now, as you can see, we have employee entity. It is being consumed in vacation app. Okay. So as you can see, the employee is consumed from directory, and the most interesting part here is you cannot even access the get action of an entity. So it's not possible with the consumers. So none of the actions are visible on the consumers. Okay. And when it comes to the actions of the entity, you can see difference over here. The two additional actions we have three actually. So get employee for update and create or update some employees and delete all employees. So in O11, if at all if we want to clear out the records of an entity, how we were doing, like we used to go for an SQL and write an SQL like delete from this table, okay, and then you have to commit. So otherwise, we have to go for each and get each of the record and delete one by one. So that will cause an impact on the server, right? So in order to avoid that, we have this delete all employees. So that will clear out all the records from an employee, from the employee entity here. Okay. And same goes for create or update also. Like in general, bulk update and bulk delete is possible within the aggregate actions. Okay. And we have talked about the public property of an entity, and here you can see we can add a dynamic entity also, and we can add a static also, which is very similar to O11. Okay. And I guess we have covered all the tabs over here. And in screens, I missed to mention one more thing. Okay, so similar to O11, we can set one entry point for a application. And when it comes to the access part of it, right, so you will be having two options here. So everyone and authenticated users. So everyone is very similar. I can say it is same as anonymous we have in O11, and authenticated is same as the registered, but the difference is whenever it is authenticated, for example, I'll not select any of the roles, right, it will give me a warning. It will throw me a warning saying that it is authenticated users. Okay. So this is the access part of a screen. Okay. And I guess, yeah, we have covered this. Let's go back to the ODC portal again. So here we have the uh, yeah, directory app. I'll give you app now. So view app, it will open the application in the browser. Okay. So it says that I don't have the permission to view the screen. So if you see the screen, it is accessible for directory and HR manager role. Okay. Let's see if I have any of the roles for my login. Okay. I'll go to users. I have my name here. I don't want to define the organization access because I'm concentrating on the application side. So I'm an application user now. So I'll go here. Okay, I want for the directory app. I will select both the roles and I'll save. Okay, it is done now. So now I'll just duplicate this. Okay, and I'll give you app. 1 second. It will take some time to reflect. This I'm facing with the um training instance, since this is a training instance. Otherwise, okay, let's give some time. Sometimes it will take time. Okay, so meanwhile, we will see how we can create the libraries and what libraries will have inside it. Okay. Okay, so inside libraries, you cannot have screens. So, though you have the interface tab, you will not be able to create the screens over here. It is only the blocks. Okay, you can see there is no option to add a screen. Okay, and in the interface tab, I guess it is all clear. So, if you go to the logic tab, you will be having the server action and client action. As I have already mentioned, the library and the application will have only the strong dependencies. That is why you are not seeing the service actions over here. If you observe, we cannot have a service action inside library. We will be having only the server actions. And for the server actions, you will be having the properties public. You can set to yes or no based on your requirement. Okay. And what other difference you can see on the logic? You have the client action, server action, you don't have the service action, and you cannot have the roles, because roles also would create a strong dependency, and roles will not create a weak one between the library and uh, sorry, you cannot have a role inside library, because you will create it in the application. So in ODC it is application. Okay, and you cannot reuse the roles. As you can see how we have the public property for roles in you cannot reuse the roles here. Roles are also limited for an application, and if you want to have the same role in another application, you would have to create one more time, and you have to assign the users with that role permission, and then they'll be able to access the other application too. Okay. In database it is more similar. So how we have the other configurations, we have all the other things. And I'm sorry, the major difference you would see in the library is you cannot create a dynamic entity inside the library. You can only have the static entity. Okay, and you cannot have the client variables again in library. You should create in the application itself. See if this is getting done now. Yeah, so as you can see, I haven't done anything, but it is just the time taking process that would take some time to process in the background, since this is a training environment. So now I have the access to the directory application where I have the dashboard, employees, projects, and everything. And I have another application called vacation. Okay, let me try to open that. Overview and vacations. And one more thing about the ODC access is that one drawback I told already, we cannot have the personal environment for our learning purpose. But if your organization is an OutSystem partner, then they will be having the ODC instance. So your organization is a partner of OutSystems, so that you can get the access and play around it. Okay, and I have the vacation app here. Okay, let me go to users. Even I'll not be having the access there. Okay, view details. See, as you can see, I have the invalid permissions. Okay, manage rules, vacations. I have again the two roles, vacation and the HR manager. And as you can see, whenever you are granting the access for the users, you can grant for all the environments, all the stages in a single portal itself. Okay. Now I have defined configurations. Okay, still it will take the time. So meanwhile, so what I'll do is, let's see how we can quickly take a dependency between these two applications. So since we have, no, what I'll do is I'll quickly create one action that would delegate the manager. So I have the action already, but for the demo, I'll create one more to show you. Okay, so delegate manager new, and here in this action, what I'll do is I will have to get the basically the functionality. What I'm looking for here is I should have a screen where I'll get the list of employees, and whichever the employee I choose will be my new manager. So I am the logged in user. I can select who is my manager. Okay. So I'll get the manager ID. That is nothing but the employee ID, and I'll send the manager name. Okay. So this will have the employee. Okay. You might wonder why I'm creating the service action inside directory and not in vacation, because we have already seen, we cannot have the CRUD actions of an entity in the consumer app, and since we have the employee inside directory, we will define the logic over here and not in vacation. Okay, I have to get the details of the logged in user first. Okay. Okay, and then I'll just assign the manager of the logged in user to be, sorry, manager that I have selected. Okay, I'll call the action since we met to the database. Okay, and now I'll have to return the manager name, right? So for that, again, I'll call this employee. You can call that get action also as an alternate. Okay, so the manager ID is the this one. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, this action name is okay. So it is describing what it is doing, but the actions over here. So whatever you see, the assigns or the aggregates, so we understand what it is doing. So it is always a good practice to name the entities based on what action it is doing. Okay. So fetch the current user or the current, fetch the logged in user, I would say. Okay. And here we are delegating the manager. Okay. And here I'm getting the manager name, fetch manager name. Okay. And this is new manager. Okay. See, I don't have to set it to public, so I'll just publish it. Okay. Once you publish it, so as I have already mentioned, this application now it has taken one new revision, and once we publish, it is a new container now. Okay. And here, as similar to how we take the dependency, you will click on this one, and if you select the directory, you will already be seeing the delegate manager new. Okay. So this is how you take the dependencies without making the elements public. And since we have the less time, I'll just show you. So here we have the delegate screen. So it will be having the managers, that means the employees. Okay. And whenever I select it and click on delegate, my old action. So if I replace it to the new one that I have created, okay, and manager ID is this one, okay, and if I publish it, so what it will do basically, let's see if we have got the access for vacations now. Yeah, so we have got the access now. Okay. And in here, okay, if we open this in browser, okay, can don't have an entry here. Okay, I don't have to define this one. I had defined for a different purpose. Okay, employee ID, and as you can see, we have the roles defined. So HR manager on vacations. So this session will have only the basic idea about ODC, like what component it has inside the ODC Studio or portal, and how we create the application and library, and what are the different properties of the components that we have, and an overview on the ODC portal. So only this brief idea we would get out of this session, and in the future session we will get deep dive into the other concepts, like how do we achieve the event driven architecture. I mean, what are the benefits out of it, how we leverage it, and what are the integration types that we have. So all those will be in the future sessions. So now if I select any of the employee and delegate it, my approvals will be delegated to that particular manager. So that is all for this session. So I hope it was helpful, and if we have the questions, we can take it.
Yeah. Uh, there are some questions from our.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so can I say that ODC is trying to bring the benefits of cloud into our systems, such as vertical and horizontal auto scaling, but at the same time without introducing the complexity of the cloud, such as requiring multiple. Yeah, that is true. So, I mean, without having more complex uh, efforts to bring in the cloud services. So ODC is helping you, but as I told, it is now limited to only AWS cloud. But in future, we will have it for Google and Azure services also. Okay, the second question is, do we need to configure Kubernetes? No, we don't need to do any configuration as such, because it is having the Kubernetes integration inbuilt already, and it is at the back end. So, and one more thing is, O11 is built on .NET and ODC is built on .NET Core. Okay, and may I know more about the difference on the how we published and deploy the application in ODC? Is it much different compared to O11? Okay, so the publish is very similar. Maybe we will have one or two steps less in ODC, but when it comes to the deployment, right? So in O11, whenever you are deploying, right, each time the compilation will happen. So in ODC, what will happen whenever you are having the development container, right? It is already a compiled code. Okay, so whenever you are deploying to the next stage, the compilation is not required, since it is an already compiled code which is there present in the server. So it is not required. Time is very fast when we compare to O11 now. Okay, the third question, how will cost normally be calculated when using ODC? In OS 11, the main cost drivers will be internal uses or AOs. Maybe this question I am not sure how, because this is more on the sales side. So as we are on the development side and more on the technical side, so we would not be aware on the cost part of it, but definitely we can get back to you on that. Maybe we will contact somebody from OutSystems and we will get back to you on that. And so, from what I understand, ODC will eliminate the issue with the deployment module dependency, as it takes the whole thing into a container and it is running independently. Yes, you are correct, Ahmed. There is app security section in ODC. Does that mean that AI mentor will not be part of ODC? Yeah, we don't have the AI mentor in ODC. So the security section will already be giving you the security issues, the security risk that the application is that you can rectify. You can see what issues it is having, and you can rectify, and you can make your application stable. And it is, you can make sure your application is following all the security concerns, security standards that OutSystems is having. Can we apply three canvas layer when designed the architecture ODC application? Does it? No, because we don't have the module concepts only here. So if we have the modules, then we define the layers. But here we don't have the three-layer architecture. Rather, it is a microservice architecture. You will learn more about the architecture side in the second session. Okay. And may I know how the logs are recorded? Do we need to specifically set up the log, or ODC are able to capture the log as? Yeah. So as I have already shown in the platform, ODC portal. So it is already having the logs and traces. So in the logs, you will see only the error messages, and in the traces, you will see the error details. Okay. And just may I take a look at the screen of the components that can be reused and cannot be reused? Yeah, I can. I'm not sure where I can put the screenshot over here. Let me just check it. For your reference, I'll just put it on the chat. I don't see the chat option, Kavin.
Not so sure.
Okay, maybe I'll just share the screen. I don't know the person. Yeah, I couldn't see the name, but you can take a screenshot if you want. So here it is. These are the reusability in application, and this is on the libraries. Okay, so if mm, for the roles they cannot set as public, then we need to create the same roles in every application and need to reassign the roles for users to all the application are in. Imagine we have 4 apps and 4 roles with 100 users each role. How many tasks we need to assign for them? Yeah, this is a pain point. I agree, but that is the reality. Like we cannot make the role public and we cannot reuse the roles. You have to define the rules and you have to add the users manually. But maybe in future, since the ODC is again, it is still in the research and exploration, and they're adding many features. Maybe in future we will see. I For now I don't see the bulk update or so. Mm, no, I don't see the bulk option. So yeah, maybe you we will get it in the future. Invite user all access. Yeah, we don't have that feature yet. Okay. For role, if I want to create a different set of users for the same application but different environment which are development and production, how can we do that in ODC? For role, if I want to create a different set of users, this is the same. Like as I have shown. um, okay, so this is the portal we have. So if I want to have the role not in develop but in other environment, right? So if I have the roles in defined in other environment, other stages, I will see over here. So if I don't have it, I just have to go and search the app. So now I don't have any app on the production, so that is why I'm not seeing the application over here. But since I have it on the development, I'll be seeing over here. So you will have to select the stage and application and define the access. That is how you manage the access across all the stages. Why there is no role and group entity in ODC? In portal, we can create end group and how to call this created group inside ODC. So inside ODC, for group, I don't know. Maybe mm,
I don't see
no
it.
for now. Yeah, we don't see it. So why I don't know. So in portal we can create the end ODC. Maybe in this case, what I see is we need to have a workaround for now. But there will be an option definitely, like how we will have the platform logs and all those things in O11. So there will be an option maybe going forward with a stable ODC enterprise version. Maybe we will get to know. So do we have more questions? Okay.
I think that's all for now.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, I'll hand over to you, Kavin. Thank you so much. I hope this session was helpful.
Yeah, guys. Actually, this one is just to cover the basics, to set the stage to for our for the future deeper understanding in the upcoming sessions. So, if you have any doubts, any further doubts, maybe I mean you can drop a note in the user group, or you can also ping me. So, uh, I'll try to get in touch with Shilakshmi, or if I'm able to answer, I'll try to answer it. So, or if there is more something you want to see or something you want to do it, like maybe we can add some of those items in the part of the demo, or she can explain a bit detail in the next sessions. So with this, I'll stop the Q&A, and then this Q&A, and then I'll jump to the quiz. Okay, so let me share my screen, and then I'll start the quiz. I'll stop the recording for now.